Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Relentless Pursuit podcast. Today, we are going to be talking about how to quit overeating like a breeze. So, let's hop into it. Welcome to the Relentless Pursuit podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Vassar, an online strength and functional health coach, having helped over 100 women get strong, lean, and healthy through my metabolic optimization method. I am here today to help you take the necessary step to begin your relentless pursuit to evolve into the best version of yourself by helping you build a relentless mindset, fill your body properly, train smart, optimize your lifestyle, and create a sustainable routine to ultimately create a complete transformation that lasts. Ready to change your life? Let's get started. Now, there is something that I truly cannot explain, and it is the intense urge to eat food, even when you feel extremely stuffed and uncomfortable. Maybe you've already eaten a ton of food already, but you still have that urge to eat and you feel like you just can't control it, right? I've thought about it a lot and what it's like and why it feels like you can't just force yourself to stop. And also, why do you stop when you stop? And how could you make yourself stop earlier? Now, it's honestly questions that I can't really explain, and I'm not sure if anyone can truly explain. Of course, eating disordered experts may have theories, but as someone who has lived the part years ago, it never really made sense to me even when it was happening. However, for me personally, I was able to eventually break free from this cycle. So today I'm going to be sharing with you 5 tips on how to break free from overeating. All right, so the first thing that I did, I made a definitive decision that I was going to stop overeating. I hated the way it made me feel, nothing good came out of it, and I had to decide that enough was enough. And honestly, there was great power in such a decision in and of itself. When you make such a definitive decision where you're telling your body, like, I'm going to change, I'm going to do whatever is necessary to change, then your body will actually help you, create that change as well because you are so determined to make that change. There is such great power in such a determined and definitive decision. Okay, so the second thing that I did was I tracked when it happened. So what I personally did, I wrote down in my journal at the end of the day, if I overate or anything like that. And this honestly was the biggest thing that helps me. I honestly don't quite understand how, but the day after that, I never overate again. It was actually incredible. Again, I don't quite understand how it happened, but the second I made a definitive decision, enough is enough, I started tracking it, reminding myself every day, I'm going to do what's needed to not make this happen. And after only one slip up, the day after that, I never overate again. And these last few tips here are going to kind of help you understand how I made this happen, like overall, and the other factors that went into it. So the third thing that I did was I forgave myself when I didn't eat perfectly. So the day after when I overate, instead of being, really down on myself or critical or whatever, on that specific day, I chose to forgive myself for, the little slip up and moved on after that. And through this whole journey of, repairing my relationship with food as well as my hunger cues, I really just had to give up this idea of eating perfect for a while. I mean, due to food intolerances and preferences, I still ate very healthy, if I'm going to be honest, but I let go the idea of eating perfect portions and the perfect amounts every day. Along with this, the fourth thing that I did, I started listening to my hunger cues and what my body actually wanted. So to prevent overeating in the evening, I ate about every 2 to 3 hours as needed to help prevent feeling hungry. Because during this time, my body, I guess I didn't talk about this before, but I had spent years under eating, and so I had a lot of nutritional deficiencies, which I think also went into this period of time. But with that being said, whenever I got hungry, it felt like I didn't have any control over what I was eating, especially, in the evening. And you're probably like, yeah, that's what happens to me too, because that's typically how it goes. And for me personally, when I was in that cycle before implementing these things, I would try to eat as little as possible during the day because I knew what would happen in the evening. And if you do that, I want to tell you now to stop doing that immediately because that exact thing is what is keeping you stuck in this cycle of undereating and overeating. Because while talking to very many individuals when it comes to their relationship with food and what they struggle with when it comes to achieving their weight loss goal, for example, A very big issue that I see is people starving themselves during the day, barely eating any food because they know what's going to happen in the evening. They're going to overeat, or they want to save the calories for dessert or whatever. And then they end up just incredibly overeating in the evening because they get so hungry. Okay. I mean, clients who have come to me, they've been stuck in these cycles. And the best way to get out of this cycle is to fuel your body properly. Listen to your hunger cues. Give your body food. Nourish it with whole foods that, will improve your health, give you the micronutrients that you need, the proper macronutrients that you need, the protein. Anyway, kind of got off track there. Getting back into what I was saying, I knew once I felt intense hunger, I'd feel like I lost control. So a big thing that I focused on, honestly, for a while was just preventing hunger for the time being as I healed my body and hunger cues. And now I want to just clarify, it's totally fine to feel hunger. Like, that's a normal human thing. Like, it's not like I'm telling you to never be hungry. However, when you're recovering your relationship with food, as well as trying to get over overeating, trying to prevent hunger during this specific time is the best thing that you can do, because currently, when you're in this period of time, you honestly just don't, like, from my experience, it's like you don't have control over how much food you eat. So if you get hungry, you're going to be overeating. So the best thing that I did when I was recovering from this period of time was just preventing intense hunger as much as I could and made sure that I just kept my body fueled. Now, long term, I don't recommend this strategy because you shouldn't be eating every 2 hours. That's just a lot of food. You don't want your glucose to be just spiked all the time, right? But when you're recovering and you want to just prevent this intense hunger, that's one way that I did it that helped a lot. Now, the fifth thing that I focused on doing was focused on health and nourishing my body while optimizing my environment. I know this is like 3 things in one, but whatever. So a mindset shift that made the biggest difference was focusing on nourishing my body to feel good. I had to let go of this expectation that I was going to, maintain a certain physique or lose weight at this point. While I was repairing my relationship with food, I purely just needed to focus on nourishing my body, giving it what it needed, and repairing my relationship with food and my hunger cues. So when you're in this phase, that's really what you need to first work on, so you're able to later on, get into, let's say, a fat loss journey and actually make it count, because you're not going to, have this intense hunger. You're going to be able to, eat food and feel satisfied, stuff like that. Now, for the last thing that I mentioned there, optimizing my environment, there's a few ways that I recommend doing this. So one way that you can do this is by prioritizing foods where the texture makes it harder or less satisfying to eat. So like baked potatoes instead of fries. I mean, you kind of want to find foods that are less palatable, more protein dense, stuff like that, just so it's harder to eat as much food. That can be one way that can make it really easy to not overeat, right? Because what's easier to eat? 10 donuts or a slab of steak? 10 donuts is going to be way easier to eat for most individuals. The other thing that I always recommend doing for individuals when they're feeling their relationship with food is to keep problem foods, what you would say problem foods, out of the house while you learn how to listen to your hunger cues. There are different schools of thoughts when it comes to this tip that I just gave you here. I know a lot of coaches would advise against, looking at food as problem foods, or like, oh, I should try not to eat this because I know I'm going to overeat it. They would recommend that you just eat it. And I'm going to be honest, maybe for you, that may be what is right for you, learning how to eat those foods, like as you're repairing your relationship with food. When it comes to me personally, I preferred just not having what would be called the problem foods, or foods that were really easy to eat, let's say like chips or something like that, or cookies, whatever. I preferred to just keep those out of the house while I was learning to listen to my hunger cues, because if I started eating them, I wouldn't stop, and I would feel terrible. And for me personally, I hate feeling terrible. So I just simply kept it out of the house while I was learning to listen to my hunger cues. Obviously, later on, I eat whatever I want to eat within my nutritional. I have food intolerances, so I can only eat so much. But I mean, I enjoy pretty much any food that you can think of. I just can't have gluten and dairy, so I get substitutions. And the other thing that I recommend doing a lot is prioritizing proteins. Obviously, as many of you know, as I talked about before, what's easier to eat, 10 donuts or a slab of steak? Protein is a lot more satisfying, than high fat or high carb foods, especially like highly processed, high fat, high carb foods. So when you're prioritizing protein, this will make you more satiated and it will help you not eat as much food while you're repairing your relationship with food and hunger cues while you're repairing your relationship with food and your hunger cues. So with that being said, those are the 5 big things that I did that helped me overcome overeating, and I have helped many clients overcome overeating as well. So with that being said, I'm going to give you a little bit of a conclusion, just going over all of the tips that I gave you if you want to write them down. So first thing, make a definitive decision that you're going to stop overeating. Second, track when it happens. Third, forgive yourself when you don't eat perfectly. Just forgive yourself, okay? Fourth, start listening to your hunger cues and what your body actually wants. And fifth, focus on health, nourishing your body while optimizing your environment as you see fit for you specifically. Alrighty. With those little tips in mind, there's something that I want you to remember and I want to leave you with. Having your dream body means nothing if it's a nightmare to maintain. But the fun thing about it is when you improve your health, improve your relationship with food and, listen to your hunger cues properly, you'll be able to get your dream body without the nightmare, which is exactly what I help my clients do through my metabolic optimization method. So if you want to get strong, lean, and healthy, DM me health on Instagram. The link is down below. Learn more. We'll define your goals, see what you need to do to achieve them, and see if we're the right fit to work together. So I'll talk soon. I will see you in next week's episode. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Relentless Pursuit podcast. If you enjoyed the episode, be sure to follow for more. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot me a DM on my Instagram at Rachel's Fitness LLC with 2 A's. Until next time, be relentless.